our translators and stuff, but we've been seeing some good results for clients. So
That's good to hear.
Hey, John, can you try sharing just to make sure it all works on your site and we're ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, all good here. We're going live on YouTube. So
You want me to stop share for now?
Yeah, just stop sharing now, just to make sure it works on your side.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess guys we're ready to start. Let me just I'll start sharing and we can start. Hello guys, so thank you for everybody joining our event today. This is my first summer hosted webinar. We've been doing a lot of guest hosting, but I guess it's time. Everybody has been busy recently, vacation, business, vacation, meeting. So we got this one rescheduled within 1 week, but all good here. So today we're gonna give you guys now 4 tips to how to actually expand and succeed in Europe. Because from experience now, all of us used to be either like sellers or we used to work with sellers a lot. So the key here is to actually have the right experts to actually help out down the journey. So first now it would be John, the CEO of Zonggu. He'll actually he'll give you guys an idea of how to actually localize your listing using actual customer searches and how to actually succeed in the European marketplaces. Then it would be Danny from e-commerce nurse to actually give you an idea of 4 product marketing tips that you can consider when you're expanding in Europe, because Europe is a very complex market, but once you succeed there, it's a long-term revenue stream. And after it, Costas would actually share a tip about the cash flow, because once you guys grow, you reach a level where you will need more cash flow to actually grow and expand. And we're always the bad guys, we talk at the end, because you don't want to hear about taxes until you actually make some money. But of course, that's important, and I'll cover that at the end. So, and if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to chat in the meantime. If you don't hear us, if you don't see something, or if you have any other questions, put them in the Q&A section, and we'll answer those at the end. And also, you can do that in the chat. So thanks for joining, guys. John, Costas, Danny, and let's start, John. Show us how we can actually find some nice products in Europe, because that's the key. If you don't have anything to sell, I mean, you cannot make any money after all. So we need to start with that at the beginning.
Well, I'd love to show you some products that sell in Europe, but I'm going to focus today on obviously how to localize the listing. I think it's such a critical piece of selling in localized markets and specifically with different languages. And importantly, how do you get at the right data, the right keywords in order to make sure that you have a great platform that you can then localize. And when I say localize, it's obviously making sure that it fits for your target audience. So that's making sure you have a proper translation and everything else. But what I want to show you today is actually the data part of it. How do you get the right keywords for that market? So I'm going to share my slides. I know we've got 10 minutes here of teaching, so I'm going to keep it pretty high level, but hopefully we get some great insights here. So let me share. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's jump in here. All right, so I've titled this "Forget Translations: How do you find local keywords for your listing optimization?" And that's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, you have to do translations, but the point here is you need to get a great baseline, and you need to find the right keywords. The first thing about Zonguru, we have over 16 different tools, but the key thing I want to impress here is that we're fully integrated on the research side and the seller side for private label sellers in North America, Europe, Australia, and also now India as well. So we have a lot of data, and it's really interesting when you start to look at some of these, cross-market comparisons. How are sellers doing on North America who have then started selling on other marketplaces, and how well optimized are they? And I'm going to show you a couple of examples in a second. This is some stats. This is from 2020. Forget it being in 2020, but the point here is how big Amazon.com is. But then look at some of those other emerging markets that are coming through, like Amazon Germany, UK we know obviously, but Italy, France, even Spain. All of these markets are now growing in size and are going to continue to grow. So in summary, we can say, .com is absolutely seasoned. When you look at a keyword search, there's so much depth, there's so many products, they're so well optimized, and they're obviously making a lot of money. But then when you look at some of these local emerging markets, the word I always come to mind right now is viable. They have, from the pandemic, from everything else, from just natural growth, there's so much more business on e-commerce, and there's absolutely a lot of money to be made there. And it's a different approach. Amazon.com is much more targeted. You can look at bigger opportunities in some of these European markets, and really take advantage of some of the opportunities we see there. So that's kind of when you're looking cross markets. Now, specifically when you're actually localizing your listing or you're optimizing it, here's some key bullets that I just want to cover before we jump in and look at some examples. This is very high level, but it's important that the same strategies, the same theories, the same way that we optimize listings in .com, we obviously do for Europe and any of the other emerging markets, right? And I think, sorry, there's a bit of feedback there. I think the first, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. The first high level point here I want to say is know your targets and know your conversion, right? It's really important that Amazon is all about conversion. If your listing doesn't convert, you obviously don't make sales. Amazon doesn't make sales, you're not going to do well. But most importantly, you have to understand and know your target, and importantly, know your target in the country that you're targeting. Don't just use a reverse lookup tool. The reason for that is a lot of these listings that are out there could be even indexed or putting in words that are incorrect, that are not as not as relevant to what you're doing, and there's opportunity that's being missed there. And reverse lookup tools, if you're not aware of what that does, it essentially takes listings and then it pulls in all the keywords that they're indexed for or that they have within their listing, and that's a great baseline, but it's not everything you should do. Make sure you get a keyword tool that pulls in local marketplace keywords. That's where the opportunity lies. If you just using a keyword tool for searches done on the USA, but not actually specifically for Europe, you're missing out on a whole bunch of keywords that will give you your competitive advantage. Use brand analytics. There's obviously ways that you can manually pull that if you have EBC. Use that that data. That data is really key, because it's giving you actual Amazon searches within that specific marketplace. We use it in our data, but if you can get access to that, use that for sure. When you optimize your listing, title first, bullets, description backend. That's the normal flow of optimizing your listing. Don't overstuff your listings. This is really critical, and especially when you start to understand the difference between broad match and exact match keywords, and how you can actually not overstuff your listings but still get a lot of broad match, which is key for listing optimization. So there used to be in the days where we used to put everything into a listing, but you've got to come across as a professional brand. You've got to make sure that when someone looks at your listing versus another product that they want to choose, that you look more professional and you look like you know what you're doing. So make sense, don't overstuff. Use long tail keyword phrases. It's really important that when you use a keyword tool, that you pick out some of those longer tail, more descriptive keyword phrases, because if you can exact match on that, or even broad match, and it's a qualitative, you've got a good qualitative score between what someone's typing in and what you have in your listing, and it's relevant, you're going to convert, and that's going to really help the algorithm. So longer tail descriptive words, that means someone's really serious about converting, and you should do really well. So make sure you're pulling some of those out. And we have a tool, Keywords on Fire. You can even use filters to make sure you target some of those longer tail keyword phrases. And then obviously get your listing translated. You should. It could be an agency, it could be Upwork. Don't skimp on this. And what I mean there is, you've invested so much time and effort and money. And it's the same kind of thing with photos. Don't go to Fiverr and just get a photo, Photoshop. Get a professional, do it amazing. Do the same with your listings. You've got to pay for it. It is such a key, even that 0.1% more conversion rate is going to make a massive difference to the algorithm. It's going to make a massive difference to your sales. So make sure you get a proper translation. Get your baseline in terms of keywords, but then get it translated, especially in markets like Germany. And when I say translated, it's not only making sure that it makes sense in their language, but it's localized. It's got local, slang words or colloquialisms or ways that, the tone of how it's written. It should be written for that marketplace, because it makes a huge difference. If someone who is from that country reads a listing and they know it's been done by, someone there versus just a basic translation. And then finally, use your backend keywords for incorrect spelling, and obviously if it isn't English, the market, then you use some of the English words in your back end. You can also use it in your front end, because especially, for example, in Germany, there are a lot of English words. It can come through, and it's okay to put some of those maybe in your description. But make sure that if it doesn't make sense in your listing, that you look to put it in your back end keywords. It's the same for the US. In the US, you have an English listing, but there's a lot of Spanish keywords that drive a lot of search volume. You want to take those words and put them in your back-end search terms. That's a really important step. All right, let's see, where am I? Oops. Okay, so let's jump into a demo. I'm going to show you just an example here. Let me just go over here. I'm going to show you two examples that I just pulled together. This is, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. This is just a product that I searched for on Amazon.com. This is Amazon.com. You can see right here, and this is a hanging macrame chair. This is a very good kind of niche product to sell on Amazon. It kind of checks all the boxes, because it's got macrame, which is a specific type of design. So it's a much more specific niche. When you look on Amazon.com, you want a niche within a niche. And this is obviously something that you can look to differentiate either by design or adding or bundling. It's definitely a decent niche to look at. And if I look at our Chrome extension here, let me just bring it up. This is our niche score. It's 63%. That's good. Anything above 50 is pretty good. It's pretty good for the US, especially. Even competition opportunity is 50%. Monthly average revenue is 34,000. And then if you look at some of the examples down here, you can see some of these guys are making 138,000 a month. 400. Well, that's not a hanging chair, but 427,000, 14. So this is definitely a good niche. 246,000. So what I did is I picked out some of the main competitors, some of the main sellers here, like YStop. This number 2 next to it means it's getting the most clicks and conversions from brand analytics. So just look out for these numbers 1, 2, and 3. There should be another one up here somewhere. Here's number 1, Patio Watcher, making 138,000. So I picked out YStop, these guys over here, YStop, and CCTRO is another big one. That's the third, getting the most clicks and conversions. And there's another 1 or 2 that I picked out. Chihi is the other one, right? So I went in and I looked at some of these products that are selling on Amazon.com, and then I've looked at, the idea here is like, what does their listing look like? How well have they optimized? And then I've looked on Amazon Germany, which is this one over here, and then I've picked out the same brands, and then I've also done a listing optimization check on that. And then I've tried to see how do they compare between the optimization in the US versus Germany, and are they leaving some opportunity on the table? So, for example, here, Chihi is obviously selling here, and Vita 5 is another one. So, it's also got depth. It's actually not a bad category here. I'll bring it up real quick. This is, I think it's like a 72% niche score. Average euros are 11,400, but there's definitely products here making money, 50,000, 70,000. There's not as much depth, absolutely, but there's definitely money to be made on this marketplace. So a decent category for Germany. So let's jump in and look at the listing optimization tool. This is our listing optimizer. By the way, these are all our tools that we have: research, listing and launch, business metrics, and then obviously customer engagement. We have a whole bunch of tools. There's 17, but this is the listing optimizer, and I've gone ahead and just run two. You can see this one, the macrame hanger salsal and the macrame hanging chair. These are two listing optimizations I've done. I'm going to jump in and show you what it looks like when you actually open it up. So this is the US one, right? Macrame hanging chair. And what I've done is I've pulled in all the most relevant, accurate, high search volume, less competitive, all of those kind of good keywords from our Keywords on Fire tool. I've actually run a search on that and pulled in all the keywords here. So you can see the search volume, we give it a score. And then on the right hand side, I've pulled in 4 competitors. Now what's really brilliant about this tool is that you can pull up to 8 competitors. So if you have a listing, you can pull yours in, but then you can pull up to 8 different competitors, and you can compare how well are they optimized versus you, and then you can continue to optimize your listing until you have the best optimized listing on page 1. So it's a really good tool to not only put in the best keywords, but make sure that you can beat all your competition. So at a high level, you can see Vita5 has got a score of 21,000. They're in the top 18%, right? Chihi is a score of 23,000. They're in the top 15%. And then I think over here, let me just move this out the way. The highest one is CCTRO. They've got a score of 32,900, and then the top 6%. And if you look at all the keywords, you can see, did they include it in their title? Is it somewhere in their listing? Have they exact matched in the title? Importantly, we can also see what's in their back-end keywords. So all their bullets, descriptions. We're the only tool in the space that you can actually see what do they actually put in their back-end search terms. So you can see what they put into this listing. So at a high level, these are decently optimized listings, you would think, because they're making great sales and they're the top ones on there. But still, they're only in the top 15%, or this guy's the top 6. So you can get yours up with a couple of keyword ads. You can get your listing up and beat these guys. You can just literally click these keywords and start adding them to your listing, and you can improve your score. That's at a high level on Amazon.com. When you look at Amazon Germany, and I know I've got to finish up, I've probably got 2 minutes. This is Amazon Germany. You can see Vita5, they've got a score of 11,000. Chihi, which was one of the better ones, theirs is literally a listing of score of 2,700. They're in the bottom 11%. And just look at how much gaps they've left. There's nothing checked over here. And there's hanging chair. They don't have the English one, which has got good search volume. But hanger salsal macrame, they don't even have that in their listing. There's really amazing, great localized keywords here that have been pulled in from the German marketplace from just running that Keywords on Fire tool that they are missing out on, that they don't have in their listing, and they've got a lot of work that they need to do in order to rank. So this to me shows a really good example of someone who's done a good job on the US, but has probably just taken their listing, dropped it in, hasn't done good keyword research, hasn't used the right tool to get the local keywords, and therefore is failing, right? This guy over here, Amanka, he's doing okay. He's in a higher position, right? So he's almost there, and you can see how much more keywords he's got in his actual listing. He's done a way better job. So he's probably accessed some good keywords, thought about it, and done a good translation. But even so, these listings here, not even in the top 10%, within a couple of seconds, I could get my listing higher than this, better than this by adding these keywords. And that's the power of getting the right tool to be able to make sure you get localized keywords. You can bring that in, and then obviously optimize your listing. So that at a high level is how I would localize listings. Make sure you get local keywords, and you do a great translation, and you localize it from a colloquialism perspective, especially from markets like Germany. It makes a huge difference. It's going to help your conversion rate, and you're going to absolutely do way better than you are right now. Finally, if you're looking to try Zonggu, there's a link right here, zonguru.link/hellotax. You get 50% off and a whole bunch of additional value-added assets that we'll be throwing in for free. Just check it out. It's a 7-day free trial, zonguru.link/hellotax, and you can go from there. That's it for me.
Okay, thanks, John. It was really nice. Obviously, you guys should set up a course or something, because it looks good, but obviously all the new sellers would need some training for that. But I guess because I'm having some such questions, but let's do the questions.
We do, just on that, we do actually have a 13-day challenge, and we have a 5-day seller challenge. Every day we give you a specific challenge, and we coach you through exactly how to do an optimization for your listing like I just went through, or how to find a product. If you're interested in those challenges, just go to support on Zonggu. There's a little chat button at the bottom and just say, hey, I'm interested in the challenge. and you can choose either the researcher challenge or the seller challenge, and they'll give that to you, and you can start that. It's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, guys. We'll actually send an email with the recording and we'll share the links for that. So
Great.
thanks, John. And obviously, no, once you find the product, no, obviously, no, let's say Germany is an example. So what you need to do next? Obviously, you need somebody to actually help you to actually optimize, grow, and expand ideally to the rest of Europe. So this is actually what e-commerce Nersi and Dani are doing. They're actually helping out with this part because they do the hard part. They're there together with the sellers in the trenches and actually helping you out succeed. So thanks for joining the event, Dani, and tell us what you guys do. Just let's continue the journey that John started and tell us what you guys are doing for the sellers.
So we are an e-commerce agency specializing in helping sellers and vendors optimize their listings and their strategy for Amazon. We're made up of mainly ex-Amazonians and Amazon specialists as well. So what I want to talk you through is 4 marketing tips to consider when you're expanding into Europe. So if I just dive in there. And so I'm going to go through language, localization, A+ content, and also brand stores. So John touched on this one slightly earlier, but you may not speak 7 languages like a local, but your customers really do. So you're going to need to optimize your listings for search in each country so that they can perform the best they can. That means tapping into local search terms so that customers can find your products. So I'm just going to go through like our top tips, things to consider when you're branching out into those new countries. Translation, again, as John said, is going to be a major part of your rollout plans and costs. So do not rely on machine-based translations. They are will likely give you poor results. You'll miss out on all the local personalization and optimization that John covered as well in his talk. You're going to want to work with agencies or certified translators who speak the local language. Using real people who speak the local language will elevate your listings and tap into those local search terms. Always run a keyword research in each country. This is something our translators do all the time when so they don't just do a straight translation. They're looking at what those key search terms. You've got to do your due diligence and keyword research in each country. Our translators are using tools like Zonggu and Helium 10 to support them in this process. Your Amazon product search rankings will only be optimized if your listings are localized. So how are customers describing your product in those countries? What keywords are they using in each country? It might not initially be what you think. And as John said, sometimes it's just they're using the English word for it or the Spanish word for it. And you're going to have to really do your research in each country to make sure that you're fully optimized on that content. And that's something that a machine-based translation can't do for you. And you need to include those translation costs in your budget. It's going to be an investment, but it will pay you back over time with solid traffic to your listings and a good conversion rate as well. So what do we mean by when we say localization of content? So it's localizing your keywords, your back-end keywords and your keywords through your content. It's your titles, your bullets, your product description. It's also looking at things, do you need to optimize your packaging, your labels? If you're unsure, that we recommend you work with a labeling specialist in the country that you're going into. Otherwise, you're going to be at risk if a customer reports you that your labels, like your care instructions, your washing instructions, if it's clothing, if they're not in a local language, you can get your listing suspended by Amazon. It's just a lengthy process you probably don't want to go through, and you'll have to then remove all that stock from the warehouse as well. So you're going to want to look at every aspect of your detail page and optimize it for the country you're listing in, and that can be a lengthy process, especially if you're thinking about branching out into more than one country. Tips, the things to look out for are just pay special attention to electronics. You want to make sure you've got the right voltage configurations. It varies from every EU country, goes probably without saying. So brings me nicely on to A+ content. So we spend a lot of time supporting clients on A+ content in either their home country or when they're branching this A+ content out into other countries. We definitely recommend focusing on your bestsellers. It would be a real shame to have your bestseller listed in a country and have it not converting because it doesn't have good A+ content on the detailed page. And there's also little point spending loads of money on an ads campaign and driving traffic to that detailed page if it's not as good as it could be, and it leaves customers open to going to your competitors to find that information, and then you'll miss out on that sale. You need to budget, again, I keep coming back to this, where you need to budget time and money to build out your A+ pages and get your content translated. And this includes like down to the nitty gritty. You have to get like your key keyword search terms on all the images translated as well. It's not just the text that you can, the written text, it's all the text on the images. So then you have to work with your designer or pay an agency to get the text on the images translated as well. And then you also need to factor in, on some countries, it might take you a few rounds of approval with Amazon to get that content live onto the site. Each country has like slightly different keywords that they won't allow. The most famous one is Amazon won't allow you to use the word Amazon in any of your content, even if you're referring to the Amazon, which was around before Amazon. So you're just going to have to make sure that everything is localized on your A+ content, and also maintaining a consistent brand across all of those countries as well. You want to make sure every touch point a customer has with your product is consistent, so they're not seeing something different in every single locale, that it all feels like your brand. So that's A+ stores. And then the next one I come on to is brand stores. Again, sometimes this is forgotten by brands, that this is actually a really good base for your brand in each country and on each Amazon website. So you'll need to remember to put brand stores and in each country that you expand into, especially budgeting for design work again, translation of even things like the metadata on each page, remembering to get the translations correct and localized for the category names. There's quite a lot of different things you've got to think about. Also, don't assume that all the same features are going to be available to you in every locale. Amazon, quite famously, can be a bit slow on the uptake to roll out new features. Things like Amazon Posts, which is seeing a really good uptake in America, is really slow to roll out to the UK. So yeah, even things like brand stories, which the UK and Germany have got, hasn't rolled out to the rest of Europe. So just making sure that when you're doing your rollout plans, you're not making that assumption before you jump in and having that, that you think you're going to have that as a tool in your marketing kit. Yeah, and also making sure that all the images are translated and that consistent brand image again, like we spoke about, and the touch points. What else did I have? Yeah, so those are my main points to go through. So just making sure you're consistent, and yeah, translation is key.
Thank you, Danny. So obviously, as you guys saw, there is plenty of things that you need to watch out. And as John showed earlier, somebody who was succeeding in the States, who was overseeing how they should do the product listing in Europe. So you should always be careful, because there is a big competition there, and you should take advantage of Zonggu, e-commerce and companies like those to actually succeed. And after you've done the first two steps, obviously now you grow. And you reach a certain level when cash flow is becoming an issue. Obviously, you need to order stuff, you don't have money. So obviously, I know that they're giving away trillions in the States, but for small business owners, there is a different solution. So this is actually what Costas are doing. They're actually funding Amazon sellers, but they'll let him introduce himself and tell you more exactly what they do and how they actually help you out there. So thanks, Costas. It's yours.
Yeah, many thanks, Nick, for hosting us. Actually, cash flow should be the first item that a retailer or seller will think about and research prior to expanding to Europe or to any other marketplace. So I gave some thought how I'm going to approach this today, and I decided that I will use as a guiding, let's say as a guiding force, as a guiding light, as a case study, the recent experience of one of our clients, US based, that was using our service and they decided to expand to the European marketplaces. Actually, they are in the refurbished electronics business, active on Amazon. So they're a reseller of refurbished electronics, and they decided to expand to Europe. So let me share my screen. I have very few slides. I'll be very brief, I promise. So, all right. So you can see my screen, right? You know, the first thing, of course, is to pick the right marketplace. And this resonates a lot with what John said in the beginning. You know, some of the smaller marketplaces, quote unquote, the word small, like Amazon Spain or Italy, there might be less competition, and you might be able to establish a foothold faster and easier. Also, when it came to in the case of refurbished electronics, because we're talking about an omni-channel retailer, there are opportunities beyond Amazon. So like Back Market is the most prominent marketplace that specializes in the trade, in the sale of refurbished electronics. So these are options that a seasoned entrepreneur and retailer has to think about. The next thing, of course, is the supply chain and logistics. And of course, I'm talking from the business perspective that, again, I'm using the same example, the same thread. Refurbished electronics is very important where you source and if the suppliers are close to you. So all of their suppliers were in the continental US. They were purchasing and refurbishing and selling fast. So they also had a very quick turnaround of the cash, of the capital. Prior to expanding, they had to find supply. They had to source the product in the Eurozone. So they once they figure out that, then you know they migrated and they added Amazon, the various marketplaces on Amazon Europe. And of course, you know, cash flow is very important, right? You have to you have to have the cash at hand or the capital to meet the projected demand that you will probably have in Europe. So it's good to plan ahead. So why cash flow matters? Again, it's your marketplace position, right? Refurbished electronics, they had to restock very fast. There are opportunities out there to take advantage of. For example, the new trends of iPhone 12s, a new batch of Chromebooks, and you need to have the cash to purchase, restock fast. So even accelerate your cash cycle even more to achieve growth and hence an improved rating and position in the marketplace. Another point, of course, for cash flow, and I have seen it also in this case that I'm referring to, is that you are able to get discounts. Many times you're able to get discounts if you pay upfront, and you can even transfer the cost of your financing to your suppliers. A very important thing for large retailers is the cash flow predictability. Day in, day out, you know that the amount of your sales that you made the day before will be in your bank account the next day. So cash flow predictability is paramount, and you don't have to worry about the various payment terms of the marketplace. And of course, this is what we do, irrespective of the payment terms of the marketplaces. We will cash advance your sales, you know, in the morning hours of the next day. So we read your data over 24 hours, and we cash advance the following morning. And we can do that in multiple currencies. And this is also very important when we're talking about your expansion to Europe. Again, let's continue with our case. They were based in the US, of course. You know, they had a USD cost base. They were purchasing everything from their suppliers in Europe. Once they decided to expand and they source locally, then they had to pay their suppliers in Euro and in GBP. And of course, Amazon, their sales were in euro and GBP, but also the cash advances from storefront were in the very same currency of the marketplace. So a global service that can cash advance in the same currency. They didn't have to incur unnecessary FX conversions, and they could pay their suppliers in euros or in GBP, or of course their VAT in the home currency of the marketplace or the country where that sale is generated. So in cash advances, think about it. They were getting they are getting daily 3 cash advances in 3 different currencies. So you can choose your currency, right? And last but not least, obviously, we have worked with many retailers across the globe. We have partnered and helped a lot of retailers and private label sellers achieve success. We can cash advance against your Amazon balances across 17 Amazon marketplaces. And we can onboard legal entities from Oceania, from New Zealand and Australia, China, Eurozone, and of course, North America. And so we also have a promo code, Hello Tax, 14 days of free financing if you're approved for our service. So that's my side. I think I was brief, quick.
You're brief. You're very, very quick. Back to, you're selling money, you need to be exact. You need to tell them exactly what they need to hear, but of course not to be cheesy. So obviously, and we're doing taxes, so we're not cheesy as well. You come to us when they block your account, when you have backdating, when you have all the trouble that you don't want. But anyways, I used to be a business owner myself, so I know how troublesome and what a bad topic is that, because even now when I get a call from my accountant, I have goose skin. So obviously nobody wants to talk with us, but anyways, you need us because that's the way it is. And especially after COVID, tax authorities are making it even harder for sellers, so you need to be compliant. So let me share my screen just to show you guys what we do on our site. Just give me a second. Okay, do you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so just a brief introduction. Hello Tax, the co-founders, they used to be Amazon sellers, and actually they met in a Facebook group. They're sharing the same issues that they had with VAT compliance, and they decided to actually set up a company to provide the VAT compliance for e-commerce sellers. So this is actually what Hello Tax does. So we help online sellers when they expand into Europe, and being, they need to be VAT compliant for that. So what do you need to know actually when you're an e-commerce business in the European Union? You need to know what's your VAT liability from the past and the present, because you need to know. Otherwise, you can have some penalties and backdating, which is not good. You need to register for VAT in different countries, file returns according to the different periods there, and obviously follow up the regulations. On some markets, you need to actually have a view of the movement of goods in order to actually report them in the VAT returns. And of course, you need to have complete visibility of the sales that you do across different channels. Here we're talking about Amazon, but all of you guys know that there is plenty of marketplaces. So you need to know exactly what you're selling and how much it's your VAT liability. So VAT rates in Europe, 27 countries. I think it's 26 after the UK left. But in general, it's around 20%, but that's not a good answer if you talk with the tax authority. You need to know exactly how much is the VAT rate. And we have the software for that. So when you connect with us, we will know exactly what you need to pay and how much, etc. So that's important. What also it's important is the different complexity of the VAT registration process. Spain is a nightmare. Probably that's why they lost last night. It's too hard to actually do anything there. They want original documents, they want all the stuff, so it takes up to 4 months. Poland is one of the quickest ones, Italy as well. But in general, Germany is the best market. And there, actually the good thing about Germany is that they accept documents in English, which is good for clients from the UK. UK, R1 from the States, or anybody who is outside of Europe in general. So there is actually a few reasons why you need to register for VAT. There is the first one, distance selling threshold limit, which is not important anymore from 1st of July. And the second is one when you store goods in any given country in Europe. When you store goods, you need to register. So what does it change from July 1st? No longer with the OSS introduction, there is no different threshold. The threshold is 10,000 euro across Europe. And for the storage of goods, nothing changes here. If you store goods, you need to register in advance before you actually even start storing any products in the market that you decide to do that. So this is actually what happened. And regarding the EU companies threshold, this is what it's active from July 1st. When you're an EU company and you have only one place of establishment and storage, you can actually deliver to the rest of Europe. Once you actually reach 10,000K, you need to register for the one-stop shop in this market, in this country. Once you do that, you can sell and deliver to the rest of Europe, and you get one report only in your home country, which is very good when you're starting out. If you have like a multi-storage in multiple markets, for European and non-European clients, you need to register in each market, and there is no any threshold limit there. You need to register before you actually start storing goods. And one important thing which happens after July 1st, which is for Amazon, eBay, and other marketplaces, that the marketplaces are actually responsible to collect the VAT on transactions, on actually two type of transactions. When first non-EU sellers are actually storing in the EU and they're making B2C sales to EU clients. So in this case, the marketplace collects the VAT, pay that to the tax authority. But the thing is that the non-EU seller still need to do the reporting. This is actually what Hello Tax does. Even though we don't collect the VAT, we still need to provide the reporting to the tax authority. And the second option is for the drop shippers who actually deliver outside of the European Union. If their goods are actually under 150 euro, in this case, they need to register for the import one-stop shop. And again, in this case, the marketplace is collecting the VAT from them. So the basic idea about that is actually that no VAT leaves Europe. So everything is collected and it pays to the tax authority. So no more free riding for certain type of sellers anymore. So what we do, obviously we have the software. We can connect, and you can actually connect with all the major Amazon markets and some other marketplaces. You get the data about your transactions. You can do the digital VAT returns and registrations in different countries. You can have everything under one dashboard. You do the data processing so you can see the sales, refund, all the data that you need. You actually have the VAT return there, so you just log into your tool, pay the VAT, and that's it. And you're done. There is nothing else that you need to do. Let me actually check, guys, how much time we have. And actually, we don't have that much time. Otherwise, I would actually show. But you know what? I think we have time. Let me actually show you the dashboard for a minute. So if you're like a new client, let's say you register for the VAT, you're ready to do the returns. This actually what happens here. You come here. If you're like an Amazon seller, you put your seller ID. Actually, guys, do you see my screen?
No, we can't see your screen.
Yeah, exactly. This something that you should tell me, the last
Yeah.
webinar. Okay. So let me start sharing. Just give me a second. Okay. Good partners after all. You stay silent. Anyways, so guys, so this is not what happened. This is the dashboard. After you log in, you come here, you go to the Amazon integration, you put your seller ID here, authorization token, save, and that's it. There is nothing else that you need to do right now. You have the dashboard, you can see your turnover report. Like this is just some dummy data, but that's how it looks like. Gross turnover, net turnover, total VAT. You can filter by Amazon FBA, your own web shop, and you can check different countries, different periods. The next thing that you need to do after we do the report, because we get the data, we file the reports for you. Here are the transactions. Here you can search by channels, by country, if you're moving stock from what to what country. And the next thing that you need to do is after we file the report, we actually publish the return here. You come here, You read the return, you pay that, and that's it. And you know that actually the VAT compliance is taken care of. You can see all the VAT returns here for one or multiple markets. You pay them, and you know that you're all set. And the last thing in the demo is the tax letter inbox. We have a tool, a translation tool, so we get the communication from the tax authorities either by letter, yes, some of them are still using letters, or by email. We upload it here. The translation tool translates that to German in English, so you know exactly what you would need to do here. So that's it. The tool is like a dashboard, so it's easy for the e-commerce sellers to connect. We get the data, we do the return, and on the back end we have account managers in multiple languages and tax advisors in each market, because you need to be a representative in order to actually file the returns and do all the VAT compliance stuff. So that's all from me, guys. And now let's go for the questions, because I have an appointment with my mother-in-law, and guys, you don't want me to miss that. So let's start with the questions. The first one is actually from Eugene. For that, let me see. Should I use exact match local keywords in my product title, or can I mix it up to ensure it falls better when customers look at it? I think that's for John.
Yeah, I think let me read this question here.
It's actually in the Q&A.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the answer there is for your main keywords that you're targeting. Yes, you should exact match in the title. And the way it works is that if for example someone types in hanging macrame chair, and that's what you actually have in your title, and they convert on that, you're going to get a lot more juice or weighting from the algorithm than if that keyword was broad matched or it was somewhere else in your listing, like your back-end keywords, right? So the quality score, if you convert on something in your title, is absolutely higher. Whether you have to always have those keywords in your title, the point is you need to look at it from a what flows, makes sense, does it read well, and still include your keywords. So it doesn't mean you have to exact match everything in the title, obviously. You move on to the bullets and everything else.
Okay, thank you, John. One question from Liam, this for the VAT. Do Amazon pay the VAT on any advertising fees for the seller tool? No, as far as we know, just for products that they actually, for the B2C that they're collecting there, so no. Okay, let me see, there's actually a few more questions. So another one from Whitney. It has been quite unclear how Amazon's algorithm indexes the descriptions. I understand it works with keywords, combos, etc. But what is the status on descriptions today? That's, I think, for you, John.
Yeah, Danny might have something there as well to add, but from my perspective and in my opinion, it's nothing different. So descriptions, titles, keywords, descriptions, backing, search terms, they all index, and they all work the same with the algorithm. It's just a different weighting depending on where those keywords are. So in order, it goes title, bullets, description, backing, keywords. So it's still whether you duplicate keywords, you do that if it needs to flow. Whether you're looking at singular or plurals, you do it because it flows. So sometimes they say that plurals is actually good to add if you don't have it. So you can use a description for many things. The key is you want to index for like at least over 3,000 keywords. You can look at an index checker, you can kind of see how you're indexing, but you really need to make sure that you get a majority of your keywords from a tool like Keywords on Fire into your listing and index for those.
Okay.
Things we always tell our clients to look out for is if you're planning on doing A+ content, if you're a seller, that's going to sit on top of your description. Your description's not going to show. So sometimes it allows for a bit more poetic license in the description, but if you're in a vendor, your description is always going to show, especially at the same time as your A+. So that's just a consideration that we always have.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, there's one question. This is actually for Danny. Let me actually see it. Okay. Oh, that's from Emilia Lopez. Why can't we just use machine-based translation? I obviously know you said that it is not good, but why, I guess? Why?
So a machine-based translation was just give you a like-for-like translation. They're not going to do any of that keyword research and have a look at what the local search terms are for your product. So that's why you'll want to go with a proper local translator so that you can get into that next level and not just a top level. What the description that John gave and the example clearly showed why. So you can be better than your competitors as well.
Okay, good.
I,
Sounds good.
I would add to that as well. Like you know, a machine-based learning is never going to give you tone, right? And the way that you write a listing for the American customer, it's much more salesy. It's kind of a little bit over the top, you know, and that's just what Americans love and they're used to. Whereas I think, and I'm not going to say I'm localized for the German market, but what I understand is, you know, in Germany it's much more straightforward. You know, you're not going to be over the top. That's actually a deterrent, and they're not really going to enjoy that listing or the copy if it's got that kind of tone. So you've got to get the tone right, and the machine-based learning is never going to do that. So that's what a good translation agency like you know, e-commerce will handle.
And I second that based on our experience with various marketplaces, that the cultural traits have to be reflected. Otherwise, you know, it's not going to work.
Actually, that is good that you took the word Costas, because I have a question for you from, let me see what was, from Stefan. Do you offer funding on all Amazon marketplaces, and also do you offer funding on other marketplaces like eBay or any?
We are the only service that has a global reach on Amazon. So we're supporting 17 Amazon marketplaces. So, you know, North America, Eurozone, UK, Australia, Singapore, Middle East. Now we are also supporting Cdiscount, which is one of the, if not the second largest marketplace in France. Back Market that I referred to, which is they're specialists in refurbished electronics, and we're in the process of adding more marketplaces, and soon to be announced Q3, Q4. But when it comes to Amazon, yeah, we can, and is what I said too. You know, if you're an international seller, we can play with currencies. We can advance in multiple currencies. At least we have seen that this is important to, let's say, average plus type of retailers in terms of volume and sophistication. So.
Thanks, Kostas. One question for VAT. I think everybody can answer that. How VAT works in the US too, or just Europe? Actually, in the States, they have the so-called sales tax. Yeah. So actually, I have partners for there. Okay. So if you need like sales tax compliance, I have a few partners I can recommend. But it's even more complex than Europe, even though it's pretty much done for Amazon from what I know, but it's different. VAT is for Europe. And one question, I think that's probably for John from Luis Roca. How much is a good conversion rate? I think you wrote that, but like 12%?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it depends on, you know, anything between 15 and 17% is a great conversion rate. I'm sure Danny has some ideas on that too. But you know, I think if you're up there and you're pushing on like that 15 to 17%, it's probably worth driving more traffic to your listing through, you know, paid search, you know, PPC. You know, try and get more traffic there, because if you might be leaving, you know, traffic on the table, and if you can get more traffic, get more index for keywords, your conversion rate might come down a little bit because you're getting a lot more volume. But it's that balance between volume and obviously conversion rate. But yeah, it could, you know, once you're kind of there 15, 17, if you could get more volume, and even if it drives it down to that 12%, it's still good.
Okay,
it really varies on what category you're in, what the product is, how well optimized the detailed pages, like for search, for information. The customer's asking lots of questions. Do you have A+? Do you have a brand store? What is your ad campaign? We have some clients on their top products. We get 60% conversion rates, and they're in the top 10 products for their category. We've got others that are a lot lower. It boils down to just making sure your detail page is as optimized as possible, with all the keywords and all the elements. We're always trying to up that unit session conversion rate as well.
Yeah, actually, Danny, it's good that you're just mentioned it, because we have a question from you from Femke. Why do we need so much text on the A+ page? I guess that's in regards to what we just tried to explain.
Yeah, so we get asked that a lot by clients, is that, oh, can't we just slap some pictures on there? Why do we need the content and the written words on there? Quite often that comes back to your A+ page is like what we like to say is like your virtual salesperson. That's your only chance to preempt any question the customer may have about your product. If you don't have the information there, they're going to go elsewhere. We also find that every customer is going to have a different bit of information that they're looking for, so you want to cover all avenues, but they're also just going to skim over the bits that aren't of interest to them. So it's just making sure you've got it all on there. But also, whilst Amazon's internal search doesn't index that part of the detail page, Google does. So that's why you still want to keyword optimize that part of the detail page for your Google and your search engine optimization.
Okay, thanks, Danny. We have a few more questions, and I guess we're done. Actually, this one, I think it's for John from Diana Vaz. What is the best Amazon marketplace for finding new opportunities?
One that I'm really excited about is Amazon Australia. I think the key there is to qualify what you mean by new opportunities. I think there's always new opportunities on Amazon.com, but it's a different way of looking for products. You've got to be much more targeted, much more specific. It's almost like a micro niche in terms of how you're looking for products. Whereas on Amazon Australia, it's much more open. You're looking at what we call macro niches. So, bigger niches, bigger product ideas that maybe are very competitive on Amazon.com, but are really open on Amazon Australia. I'm quite excited by that market. I think they're backing it, and I think if you can get in now, in the next 3 to 4 years, you're going to be, at least 10xing what you're doing right now. So that's a really good opportunity. But again, I think if you're a seller and you're looking, there's a lot more decisions that you need to make. What market do you know? Where are you based? Where's your manufacturer based? These are really good questions to answer first before you really look at a product on the marketplace.
Okay, thank you, John. Actually, I think the last question that we're seeing is for taxes, so we can wrap it up. So it's for the one-stop shop from Burak. Is a one-stop shop a mandatory report? Not actually, can stay with the standard reporting, but obviously it would mean that you need to register in multiple states and obviously pay more. It would be harder for you. So the idea for the one-stop shop is actually to make your life easier. So I recommend that you use that because that's the reason why it was actually introduced. So if you guys have any more questions, I'll send an email to everybody after the event. You can watch the recording, and also share the contact details with Costas, Danny, and John. And obviously, guys, if you need anything, just connect with me and I'll introduce them there, and you can take it from there. But of course, I hope that you enjoyed the event. We're doing such events every 2 weeks with experts because, like I said, you need to have somebody to actually guide you here. So you just need to be willing to spend 1 hour of your time to actually look at this webinar. So thanks for actually waking up that early, John. Thanks for staying late, Danny. And for Costas, I think we saved him from the heat in Greece. So for him and for me, it's all good. But you cannot save him from my mother. Well, I need to go there. So anyways, nothing to do here.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, I don't think luck would help, but I'll try.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.